Chris Lee and Blayne Gilmer here to take a look at the Alabama Crimson Tide heading into the 2023 football season. We're doing this on January the 18th. So if there have been coaching changes or departures or something like that, don't shoot us. We do the best we can where we are. All right, Blayne, big question. Has Alabama slipped from that perch of former glory where it just seemed like the Crimson Tide were invincible, and if they didn't win it one year, they'd win it the next? Alabama obviously runners up 2 years ago after winning the SEC title, lost the rematch with Georgia. This year didn't make the playoff, although I would contend could have certainly done some damage.
Yeah.
Had Alabama been there in the 12-team format. Anyway, here we are. Alabama loses a ton of players for this coming year, but it makes up with. I guess we can judge whether it makes up. It has a monster recruiting class coming in. Really weird place for this program, man. It's a strange place for Alabama to be.
No doubt. Listen, I think it's a little bit hyperbolic for people to go out here and say, well, the Saban era is over with of dynasty, that, Kirby Smart's surpassed them all. Listen, Georgia is certainly the standard bearer right now because they've won back-to-back national championships, but Alabama is not that far away from, they had some injuries to their quarterback during the middle of the year, and just didn't play as disciplined of football as you see under Saban. I have to feel like you got to give Saban the benefit of the doubt, feel like they'll get that corrected, be more disciplined, be a little bit more sound on the back end of that defense, especially. So, we're going to talk about what they have to replace, what they're bringing back and all that kind of stuff. But I definitely wouldn't throw the Alabama Crimson Tide away just yet. I think they'll be around for quite a while, and I think 2023 could be a good year for Alabama.
Okay, a couple things to hit that are to be determined as we do this. Coordinators. Bill O'Brien's still there as we speak. Defensive vacancy after Pete Golding left for Ole Miss, and some speculation about Jeremy Pruitt and some other people, Glenn Schumann at Georgia. So as we're doing this, there's a little bit of uncertainty around the coordinator positions as we are.
Yeah, and it's interesting. They've already brought on Austin Armstrong to coach inside linebackers. A guy that's kind of up and comer in the industry, was at App State, so they brought him in. And by all accounts, everybody, that's a great hire for Saban to bring in a good young coach that'll be tenacious on the recruiting trail. But when it comes down to it, they got to find that guy who's going to kind of be a second, right? For so many years, it was Kirby Smart himself. And then since then, hadn't really had a consistent there. Pete Golden was there for a few years, but that was a very roller coaster of a tenure for him. Now he's at an SEC West program. But Jeremy Pruitt, Glenn Schumann, even Todd Grantham, names being floated out there as of this night of January 18th as we're recording. So it'll be interesting to see who leads that Alabama defense. We all know as long as there's breath in the lungs of Nick Saban, he's really going to be the one leading it. So, you can rest assured there, but is going to have some help there as well on that side of the ball. We'll see who he brings in.
All right, let's start at quarterback. Bryce Young, on to the NFL. Could be Jalen Milroe, could be Ty Simpson. My guess is it's Simpson. Milroe, of course, incredibly dangerous with his feet, but that'll be one of the big things to watch in spring ball.
Yeah, I think Ty Simpson is a tremendous talent, has a big arm, is more of your prototypical type quarterback, but I mean, he can move around as well. Jalen Milroe is got to develop as a passer. I mean, honestly, I think Jalen Milroe, if he was in the same position as Anthony Richardson was, Florida would have probably had the same results there. Both athletic guys, big arms, can really throw it, but sometimes the accuracy is not there. And Jalen Milroe, he does have that experience, but I think Ty Simpson will win that job. They also have Eli Holstein coming in, who at one point was committed to Texas A&M, ends up flipping his commitment to Alabama when he came in. He's got we'll see how he's able to come in and also whose system it's under, because we do speculate that Bill O'Brien could end up going back to the NFL. Has not at this point as we're recording this, but Ty Simpson is a name to know. He's the son of a college coach. His dad was the head coach at UT Martin. So he's been around college football all his life, and really is kind of a football junkie. So Ty Simpson would be my bet as well.
Okay, skill guys. Gibbs off to the NFL. Did a lot for them, both as a receiver and as a runner. Letu off the NFL, their tight end who caught a lot of balls there. JoJo Earl off to TCU. Trey Sanders at Georgia Tech. How does the Tide reload at running back and receiver?
Listen, running backs where they're going to be hurting the most, because as much as talented as Jason McClellan and even Roydell Williams has experience, they brought in two immensely talented freshmen that I think could end up carrying the load for them. Justice Haynes and Richard Young is as good of a 1-2 punch as you could possibly bring in the country. A little salt in the wound for that Alabama inflicts on the Georgia Bulldogs and Justice Haynes, because not only do they get him out of the state of Georgia, but he was a Georgia legacy, the son of Veron Haynes of the famed hobnail boot play that Larry Munson said back in the day. So that's a nice recruiting win for Saban over his former protege Kirby Smart. And Justice Haynes is a guy that he looks like he's got an NFL body right now, coming in as a true freshman, him and Richard Young both. So that's a place to look. Tight end is where I think they're the most bare. I know Robbie Oots is a physical guy. Amari Niblack is a guy that is athletic dude, but CJ Dupree, they brought him in from Maryland as a transfer. That he's going to really have a chance to kind of be the guy right off the bat going forward. But at receiver, it's really kind of, status quo there with Jermaine Burton and Ja'Cory Brooks. Nick Saban speaks really highly of Brooks. And Alabama's not one to really rotate receivers a lot. They get 2 or 3 and they kind of ride them is how they kind of roll with it. But Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bond are both guys that can absolutely fly and had some contribution as freshmen. So we'll see how it ends up turning out for him. Shaz Preston, another guy that was highly recruited out of high school, he could end up making an impact. And then Jalen Hale coming in this class, that is that historic class. So Alabama's going to be just fine at wide receiver.
Okay, Alabama lost 7 offensive linemen, I think, either to the portal or to the NFL. I believe 3 starters. Brockmeyer, a reserve, who was a highly rated recruit. What do you think it looks like for Alabama on the offensive line?
This is where you got to be scared if you're Alabama, because this is what hurt Alabama
because they weren't great last year. Yeah.
This is what hurt them this past year in 2022. Tyler Booker had his struggles. J.C. Latham had his struggles. Honestly, J.C. Latham probably should have been called for holding in that Texas game on that Bryce Young play at the end, and then they would have lost the third game. But J.C. Latham maybe at that left tackle. Listen, they're so thin at offensive line right now and they're too deep. They're projected too deep that you see out there. Miles McVay, Olas Alenin, Raquez McKeldery, and Caden Proctor, all as talented as they are. They are a big part of the reason why this recruiting class is heralded as maybe the greatest recruiting class ever. But they're also freshmen. And I know this, if you're having to ever plug in freshmen on the offensive line in the SEC, it could be tough. Now, I will say this, Caden Proctor, Miles McVay, those are massive human beings. We're talking about 6'7", 6'8", 335, 340 pounds. So if they prove they can move and bend, then I don't think that Saban will be hesitant to throw them in there. But, man, that is the one area of concern if you're the Alabama Crimson Tide offensively.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks to LSU with freshmen on the edges last year. And talented kids, but it didn't always go well. Okay, betting $11 to win 10 stinks. With BROTHROW, you bet 10 to win 10. BROTHROW lets you bet in all 50 states because it is not the house. Bettors have a fair chance at winning. It is the only sports betting platform that doesn't take a cut of every bet. No deposits, no minimum bets, no need to connect your bank account. Bettors pay each other directly. There's a hassle-free sign-up process that gets you in the action in seconds. Go to brothrow.com /SE14. Once you're there, ask to join our private Southeastern 14 group and have some fun with us. Okay. Defense, my goodness. I'm just looking down the stat sheet from last year. And let me pull it up because I've lost it. Here it is. Okay. Alabama loses its top 4 tacklers, Helms, Toa, Branch, Battle, all gone to the NFL. That does not include Will Anderson, their 6th leading tackler. That doesn't include Byron Young, where they're better linemen. That's 6 of the top 8 tacklers. They also lost Eli Ricks, some other guys, DJ Dale, Kyrie Jackson, who transferred to Oregon. A lot of pieces to pick up for the Tide here, too. But they do have Dallas Turner, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Braswell. It's not like this is a bare cupboard, but you start looking at the names at the production, that's a lot of guys to lose.
Yeah, it is. And, we'll just see now. Listen, we just like we've talked about with Georgia, they're not, devoid of talent. They've got a lot of people coming in that are going to be able to help out, and they've got some tremendous pass rushers coming back in Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell, as you mentioned. Some big guys up front, Jaheim Otis and Tim Smith, be able to help out as run stoppers. And honestly, I believe that Kool-Aid McKinstry is one of the better corners out there in the SEC. The question will be, how does Terrion Arnold respond? He kind of got torched in the not only the Texas A&M game but the Tennessee game as well. And then Eli Ricks takes over. Now he's got to come back and kind of bounce back from that. But a name that you need to know, if you don't already know, is Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs, also a prospect from the state of Georgia that Georgia desperately wanted, Ohio State desperately wanted. In my opinion, Caleb Downs is the best high school football player I've seen in the past 10 years. And I've seen a lot of good ones come through.
You have.
In the state of Georgia. And he's tremendous. Just so instinctive, has, like Justice Haynes, an NFL body. He looks like he's an NFL safety getting ready to go. And that elite playmaking ability at the safety position, and they can even move him down and play him at the star position if they want to, because he's extremely physical. He can return kicks. Caleb Downs is a name to know and could have a huge impact on the defense. Young guys coming in too, Jaquavius Russaw and James Smith. They're guys there from Montgomery, Alabama, and could end up having a big role as well, even as freshmen. So not devoid of talent, like I said. They just have some guys that are going to have to step up into new positions. Jihad Campbell, Sean Murphy at linebacker, guys that could play roles as well. So, we'll see, but Saban's going to want to have a little bit, even though they finished 9th best scoring defense out there, Chris, not bad. It was just at times couldn't get the key stops when they needed to against, Tennessee, LSU, things like that.
Yeah, didn't exactly play an easy slate of offensive teams last year. So, got to mention that. Okay, the schedule next year. Boy, not easy either. Road trips to Kentucky, home game with Tennessee. Those are their crossover opponents. Of course, you get to play the SEC West, which is no fun. Also, rematch with Texas and Tuscaloosa. Other games, Middle Tennessee State. That's the opener at South Florida, which I think was 1-11 last year. Was I wrong about that? I know they weren't very good.
Oh yeah,
and then Chattanooga is the perennial FCS team before the Auburn game. Not a lot of easy ones here.
No, and I think Auburn's going to be markedly better under Hugh Freeze, just from his familiarity with the SEC West and being so, like you said, it's not an easy schedule. But you never expect it to be easy, and I know Nick Saban doesn't, and that's part of what keeps him going at his this point in his life. He loves the challenge, and there's nothing that he loves more. When David Pollitt looked right across from him in that set and said, "Hey, Georgia's now the king of college football," up there when he was on the ESPN set, he's going to be playing that 10 billion times between now and the first game over there for his team, and it'll just be on loop in the facility over there. So look for Alabama to have a chip on their shoulder, and The schedule's always tough, but I'm sure they'll be up to the challenge. And I would make them my favorite to get to Atlanta out of the West this year as my early favorite and prediction.
Yeah. Okay. Let's wrap it up. Feel like we covered a lot of ground, a lot of unknowns with Alabama. Your parting thoughts on the Crimson Tide?
Just have to make sure they can do whatever needs to be done, whether it's even another experience portal edition that maybe when the spring portal window opens up for that offensive line to be secure. A lot of those guys are early enrollees, those freshmen that are coming in. So building that depth, because they are so thin experience wise, not talent wise, but experience wise up front, that an injury here or there could totally derail things offensively. I think they'll be totally fine at quarterback. I like what they have at receiver. I love what they have in those freshman running backs coming in, and the experienced running backs they have coming back. I'm not ultimately worried about defense because I know Saban is going to end up getting that going, but that offensive line, got to make sure that's ready to roll and sort that out this spring.
More questions than usual for Alabama, but hey, this just in, never bet against Nick Saban. Okay, we are Southeastern 14. He's Blayne Gilmer. I'm Chris Lee. We've got all kinds of stuff on our channel. If you're just discovering us, we cover football wall to wall. We hit basketball and baseball with equal passion. We got videos up just about every day. Best way not to miss anything is to hit that subscribe button. We do live streams for SEC football at 8 o'clock Central Monday nights. That's an audience participation show. And we'll be doing live streams, baseball and basketball, and just all kinds of stuff. So anyway, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Both of those help us. We'll see you again soon at Southeastern 14.